Hello and welcome to the Matrixes with Jonathan and Shiva. We are consciousness researchers and deal with induced dreams, astral travel, activation of the pineal gland, everything related to the topic of the matrix, i.e. leaving the matrix and our super technique, spiritual dissociation. Yes, today we are doing the third of 4 parts on lucid dreaming. Yes, we've already filmed part 1. It was about theory, very exciting, and also new things that aren't quite as well known yet. The second part was about the techniques, especially our personal techniques, which are not very common, about how we train lucid dreams or get into them. And today we're going to discuss how to stay lucid when you're already in a lucid dream, and also how to program your dreams, so that when you have a specific question or topic that you want clarified, you can program it in order to have the question answered in the dream.
Just it. So the last video was about the techniques we use in preparation for a lucid dream. And now it's about the techniques in a lucid dream. Exactly. What do you do when you are in a lucid dream? Because a lot of people who have their first lucid dream say, wow, that was such an amazing experience, but it only lasted 2 seconds.
Then I was so excited that I was lucid that I woke up again.
That's the way it is. And that's the trick to the whole story. When you finally manage to become lucid in a dream, you then extend the dream as long as possible. Because the longer the lucid dream lasts, the more psychic energy you accumulate, and the more psychic energy you have, the more energy you can use in your everyday life. You can then, when you wake up afterwards, maybe after what feels like half an hour of lucid dreaming, you have so much energy that you really think, wow, I can do anything with this energy. This energy also strengthens all the positive character traits in you, more confidence or more willpower and things like that. And that can be put to good use these days. And that's why it's important to extend a lucid dream as long as possible.
Yes, it has often happened that you were in a lucid dream and then it was over again. What did we do? Well, I still remember that I wrote everything down beforehand. Before the lucid dreams. And what's important to me once I become lucid, what should I pay attention to? And I had internalized that so much that I was actually able to orientate myself on what I had planned beforehand. Among other things, don't be scared, stay cool, which is actually the most important thing. But I still remember, right at the beginning was my first lucid dream, and then, shit, I'm lucid. What do I do now? Oh yes, that's right, my list, stay cool. It was actually the first thing I thought of, and then I actually stayed cool. You just had to make a determination to stay cool so that you could take this intention with you into your lucid dream. Stay cool, it might be best to make a list too. Then I thought, what else was on the list? Oh yeah, counting fingers or some other reality check or some other test. Then I did it and counted my fingers. True. And then I thought, is this really a lucid dream? Continue working through the list. Okay, now I'm going to create something that's completely surreal. I did, and then I realized, okay, yes, this is definitely a lucid dream. So I've really done everything on the list because I've decided that when I'm lucid, I can't fall out again. I have to do the reality check and I have to stay cool. And because I was so determined to do it, I actually thought about it. At first there was a little blackout because you're in a lucid dream and you think, wow, a lucid dream. But you really have to switch gears quickly and think about your intentions so that you don't get thrown out again straight away.
Yes, that is a very important point. Within a dream, the mind tends to justify everything in such a way that it can't be a dream after all.
Yes, exactly, that was right.
So then some guy comes towards you who has two heads, and then you think, oh God, what does he look like? He has two heads. And at the same moment the mind arrives and says, yes, 3 years ago you read in a newspaper that they were doing genetic experiments and then someone was born with two heads. That's him. So you have to be really careful not to let yourself be fooled. And that's why it's important in dreams that when in doubt, otherwise the doubt wouldn't exist in the first place. If you're in a dream, you keep it in your head. If you have to ask yourself, is this a dream, then you can assume it is. You should remember that.
That's why the techniques we used last time are so important. Not to always assume that it's a dream, always. It has to be so firmly anchored in you that everything is a dream, that even in the dream you have no doubt that it is a dream. I would say the most important thing is to really pay attention to it.
Yes, and within the dream it's about stabilizing your perception. This means that if you are lucid in your dream, then it may be that you are not 100% lucid yet. Being 100% lucid in a dream means A, your perception is razor sharp, B, you know that you are lying in bed right now and dreaming, so that your body, much better said, is lying in bed and sleeping, and you are in a dream came true. So these are the two most important points that you should be aware of in a lucid dream. Because there are also pre-lucid dreams. That means you know it's a dream, but you're not 100% sure yet.
Most of the time, even if you're pre-lucid, you don't really think about whether I'm lucid or not. You have the ability to subconsciously influence the dream in some way, but you don't really think about being lucid. You just think, oh yeah, cool, I can influence that, but you don't really know, yeah, lucid, pre-lucid, cloudy dream, right? It's always like that for me.
Yes, that's why these 2 points are important. Really razor sharp perception, ultra 4, KHD, and whatnot.
And the clarity too, right?
Yes, the clarity. You should also be clear in your head. Then you can say you are in a lucid dream. And yes, then it's now about stabilizing yourself in the dream. This means that we now have to somehow carry out some actions so that we can stay in the dream longer.
Yes.
That's just important, because when you suddenly get completely excited and freak out and say, wow, I just didn't make it, yay, and then you run around like crazy and chat up anyone, hey, that's a dream. Did you know that already? Then you can assume that the dream will last no longer than a minute.
Yes, it really is, yes.
Yes, and in this context you have to realize that you are in a dream and want to stabilize it. Of course, most lucid dreamers go crazy the first time they realize they are in a dream, so stay cool. And don't go straight to people's laundry either. You really enjoy doing that because sexual energy and dream energy are somehow related to each other.
But only if you're not really 100% accurate. If you're really lucid, then somehow that doesn't happen.
That's the point. So that means that if you suddenly get completely horny and walk around and want to mate with random people, to put it so casually, then you're not really lucid yet, because then you still have your instincts, I say, but that's it.
It's really hard to become really suicidal once you're in that ratty state. You can almost forget that too.
Yes, that is difficult. That's right, yes. And because as soon as you have any sexual interaction with a dream character, the dream will only last a minute. And then you wake up.
Yes, I had that too. I remember my mentor came and said, well, what can you learn here? And I didn't learn it for ages, but then you told me what she wanted to tell me. Don't be ratty if you're lucid.
That's the way it is. So, of course, you can also have fun, lucid dream, and of course you can attack the next guy. And what do I do with him, or wish someone over that you've always wanted? To eat. But if the goal is to prolong a lucid dream, then you should avoid such interactions. Yes, absolutely. So stay controlled and stay cool too. Don't get excited, because if you're too enthusiastic in a lucid dream, there's always some disruptive factor that comes up, or you wake up because of all the excitement.
So I would say before you even lay down in bed or even think about lucid dreaming, really realize that as soon as I'm lucid dreaming, I'm going to remember to stay cool. That you really program this into yourself beforehand, so that as soon as you are lucid, you really think about your list or the really important point to stay cool. So program it again and again beforehand. Yes, what options do we have once we're in a lucid dream and have realized it's a lucid dream and stayed cool? What options do we still have to stabilize ourselves in dreams?
Look at your hands.
Yes, tell the story from the other day. I thought that was so funny.
So when dreaming within a social dream, you can use an old Indian technique to prepare yourself to stabilize your dream by then looking at your hands. And concentrates on his hands and tries to perceive the hands as clearly and sharply as possible. Then you look up again, forward, and try to perceive the area sharply and clearly. If you notice that the surroundings are fading or becoming blurred again, look at your hands again, fixate your hands, but do not fixate on one point of the hand, but always let your gaze wander over the hand. Don't suddenly think, oh, that's an interesting line there, what exactly is that, and so on. So don't get lost in the details. That's very important. To prolong the dream, don't get involved in details. If you suddenly see a cute little animal sitting somewhere, you go there and concentrate on the animal and look at the eye, the feeler. So avoid such little things in a useful dream. But always let your eyes wander. Always look as we usually do in everyday life, that we always let our eyes wander. And don't concentrate on small details. Because if we somehow concentrate on small details in a dream, it's almost like meditation, and then it can also ensure that you wake up in your bed again. And we don't want that either. So let your eyes wander, check your surroundings, look and see it as clearly as possible. Then when you notice that it's not quite working, look at your hands again. There the hands try to see as sharply and clearly as possible. As soon as the hands can be seen sharply and clearly, look up again at the surroundings. And then if the surroundings are sharp enough and you are satisfied, then you can move through the dream.
And how were your hands recently?
Yes, the other day was pretty good too. Then I also said, oh yes, I am lucid in dreams, but not really yet. So I look at my hands and look at my palms and everything is fine. Look again, yes, not yet optimal. I look at my hands again, and at the same moment I turn my hands once, I suddenly had a hand like that. With branched grey pale fingers that somehow looked completely alien, like with 7, 8, 9 fingers on them or something. So I knew then, oh, I'm not 100% stable in my dreams yet. Yes, but don't be distracted by the fact that you now have a branched, 9-fingered alien hand. It's not bad. Turn your hands again so that the palms are facing you and try to get the surroundings sharp and clear.
Yes, I was also recently and tried it with my cell phone, but then they always go crazy with their cell phones. Then try to call him, but do you think you can find the dial button or something on your cell phone? So reading in dreams is generally difficult. I've tried this before to stabilize myself, either reading something on the board or reading something in a book, but it's extremely difficult. Because then the letters take on a life of their own or don't exist at all in a form that we know. This is usually alien writing.
Yes, that is also very important. So what works very difficult in dreams are electrical devices.
Oh yeah.
And toilets?
Toilets, yes. Then I remember the looper story where yes, anyway.
That means toilets are always somehow complicated or
Standing outdoors.
are outdoors or have glass walls. All stories like that. And cell phones and other electrical devices, really bad, totally complicated. No one gets through. And you can also set an anchor there.
Yeah, but then I kind of thought, oh, screw it, pressing select. I went to the scene, then I skipped it and then called you.
I just thought, I have to go too. Yes, that works too, yes. But you shouldn't be distracted by such devices and toilets either.
Yes, that is also difficult if you are not yet aware.
Exactly, because if you think you still have to go to the bathroom or if you think you still have to call someone, then you're not really lucid yet. Then you are prelucid. This means you are not yet 100% centered in your lucid dream. Yes, so as soon as you, in everyday life, which you can also work with, something is wrong with your cell phone or something is wrong with your toilet or bathroom, then you can set an anchor and always ask yourself in such situations, oh, I'm dreaming. Am I dreaming? Is this a dream? I think it's a dream, yes. And in this way, if you're in a dream and suddenly have problems in the bathroom or with your cell phone, you can see, oh, whenever I have problems with my cell phone, I'm in a dream. So you can do a lot there too.
Yes, generally like anchor, something that you see very often or what you often see in dreams. If you somehow see your partner very often in dreams. Can you also program it? If I see it in a dream, I become lucid, or if I perform some specific action more often in a dream, you can program it too, exactly.
Yes, that's a very good possibility, but in a lucid dream you should avoid bathrooms and electrical devices, and also, as I said, mating rituals. What other options are there? The next option would be breathing. So you can concentrate on breathing in a lucid dream, how to breathe in and breathe out. And that also stabilizes in a lucid dream, because in this dream reality you do something that you have to do in every day. life, you could almost say. So breathing in a lucid dream can also stabilize. And what can also stabilize you in a lucid dream is to pay attention to the soles of your feet as you walk through the dream. Namely, that you concentrate on feeling the ground under your feet, to make this as everyday as possible, that you really start to slowly feel gravity in your dream. This is also an important factor in stabilizing the dream and thus being able to stay in the dream longer. So the really good lucid dreamers manage to stay in a lucid dream for what feels like 1 or 2 hours at a time. Well, that's the thing with prehistoric times. So you can stay in a dream for what feels like an hour or two and then really accumulate energy and power. You should also avoid interacting with the dream characters. This means not actively interacting, but rather remaining reactive. This means that if a dream character appeals to you, then play your role and play along. And don't tell anyone that you're a lucid dreamer right now. Keep it to yourself. Don't make a big deal about it. Don't rattle people and say to them, hey, you're dreaming. Aren't you aware of that? No, don't do it. It's your personal secret. Keep it to yourself. And if you meet other people in your dream, i.e. the dream characters, then I would suggest playing the role. If someone says to you, hey, what do I know, Nicholas, how are you? What are you doing? Then you react as you would in everyday life. Yes, everything was great. I went to visit a friend yesterday. It was really funny, and I could tell you something like that. So don't start playing the great teacher in your dreams, that you then try to become a guru, or that you somehow think you have to do other things with people. Of course you can do anything if you want. You can do anything you want in a lucid dream. The only question now is, how do I extend my lucid dream experience?
There is one exception, and that is if your dream teacher is there or another person who also knows that they are lucid. I've had that several times too. Then the person said, yes, we are currently lucid in our dreams. The one in the middle isn't there. For example, it's not him. He won't remember tomorrow. So if the other person actually says to you in a sober and neutral way, yes, this is a dream, and you are also in a dream, or it is a dream teacher who wants to work with you, then of course it's fine. Then of course you don't need to hide it, because the other person obviously already knows that you are lucid. But in general, you are of course right.
Yes, definitely prevent interactions, desired interactions. Unless someone is coming towards you, don't immediately hit them or kick them or anything else, but act as you would in everyday life. In this way, the dream also becomes more stable, because you are, so to speak, applying your everyday thinking in this dream and thereby stabilizing the dream. That's the trick. And that's what we call passive lucid dreaming. That means I know I'm dreaming, I'm 100% lucid, but I remain passive, reserved.
I think that creates some really exciting, interesting moments, because your hearing self then guides you through the dream and shows you extremely exciting things if you let yourself be guided without wanting to intervene.
Certainly. That's the art. As a lucid dreamer, you play your everyday role, you observe, you collect information. Of course, you can ask a question here and there. That's of course possible. But this way you gain stability and also gain dream energy and psychic energy. This means that the more energy you collect in this dream, the easier it will be for you to have lucid dreams in the future. Because you will then have so much dream energy stored within you that it will be much easier for you to get into this state the next night. That's why passive lucid dreaming is so popular. Active lucid dreaming means you do whatever you feel like doing in your dream. You attack people or play tennis with random people. Make a wish, I know who, or freely redesign the dream according to your wishes. This is active lucid dreaming. But in order to be able to enjoy reality, the dream reality, for as long as possible, you should practice passive lucid dreaming. However, there is a very small disadvantage. Disadvantage in quotes. Because I have also met lucid dreamers. They use these techniques to stay in this lucid dream longer. And at some point, the lucid dream became so real that it was like everyday life. And then at that moment, they felt that it was actually possible to stay in this dream forever. And here we are talking about a change in reality, so to speak, which can also be achieved, for example, through spiritual dissociation. You can also achieve a change in reality through lucid dreaming. And that means that you would take your everyday consciousness, your everyday self, into the dream and, so to speak, anchor yourself there, set your anchor. And then you just stay in this other reality forever. Then you won't come back.
Yes, and that happened to us recently, but more on that in our part about experience.
Yes, these are the tricks to make a lucid dream last as long as possible and stay in it for a long time. It's also not that important to get great information right at the beginning or to have great conversations with some mentors or angels or whatever.
It comes automatically anyway.
At some point this will come automatically, but the first thing is to extend the dream as much as possible.
Just the basics.
Yes, it's all about the technology first. You have to master the technology first. Also discover your personal technology. There are still subtle gradations and so on that you have to apply in order to prolong the dream. And if you master this technique very well, you can stay in a dream for hours. And if you have a good command of being stable in the dream, then you can also go on an exploration tour. Then you can see where my mentor is, i.e. my dream teacher. And what other characters are walking around here, and who can I contact in a dream to find out specific information. And so it's a bit like a computer game. Then over time it all seems like a computer game. And only with the advantage that you can also, yes, receive information that you can also use in everyday life.
So what do we do to stabilize? It's best to make a list beforehand. I'll stay cool. What do we do in dreams? Pay attention to your breath, look at your hands, pay attention to the soles of your feet, don't get lost in the details. And as I said, plan this all out beforehand. And of course, don't forget, don't mess around with everyone you come across.
It's best not to make out with anyone.
Make it a point to pay attention to these few points. Always remember before you go to bed, this is my list. I pay attention to it. And then almost nothing can go wrong, then you can manage it.
I think we have now told you the bare minimum about dream stabilization. Remember, it is important that you stay within the dream for as long as possible. But this only applies to those who really value acquiring and accumulating dream energy, to accumulate psychological energy that you can use in everyday life, and to prolong the dream as long as possible in order to collect as much energy as possible, and then later be a very stable lucid dreamer and be able to get all the cool information out. Can obtain, exactly.
Yes, further videos on lucid dreaming, would-be dream programming, and of course our experiences or experiences in lucid dreams in general. These are the other videos that are still to come. But next week there will be a completely different, exciting topic. We always change it up a bit. Sometimes lucid dreaming or dreaming, and then another exciting video.
Yes, we still have some very exciting videos in store. Yes, of course. As always, we thank you for watching.
And just tell us what techniques you use for lucid dream stabilization or what worked for you. It will definitely help the others if you have really great, ingenious techniques that you have tested.
With that in mind, thank you very much.